Amy discovered a nest of goose eggs, but the area had just been violently destroyed by humans. So the geese were dead or had fled. Amy quickly found a bag and carefully placed the eggs inside. Then she carried them home. But she wasn't planning to make fried eggs. She wrapped them in clothes and placed them in a cabinet. Then while her dad was busy inventing, she secretly took his lamp, then plugged it in. She placed the lamp under the cabinet. A simple incubator was ready. Then she smiled. Maybe she wanted roast duck? The next day, while Amy was at school, the little ones finally hatched. That evening she sneaked to the barn when no one was watching. She opened the cabinet and saw the adorable little lives. This strengthened her resolve to raise them. The family soon noticed Amy was missing, so they rushed out to find her. Finally, they found her asleep in the barn, surrounded by a group of newly hatched goslings. Thomas covered her with a blanket and was about to leave, but he woke her up. She looked at him expectantly, wanting to keep them. How could a father bear to refuse his daughter? The next morning, Amy brought them into the house. She fed them like feeding ducklings. Before school, she reminded her dad to feed them every 2 hours. Thomas looked at the mess all over the table. He reluctantly agreed. One gosling particularly loved his beard. He had no choice but to contact animal control to explain the situation. The man said it was complicated and would visit in a few days. Amy got along well with the goslings. They treated Amy as their mother, waddling behind her. Each one ran very fast, but one would fall behind if not careful. Amy played happily with them on the grass, the little ones following non-stop. Thomas found this scene quite magical. That evening, the animal control officer came to the house. He said keeping geese was illegal. To keep them, they must be quarantined, and they couldn't be allowed to fly. He grabbed a gosling and opened its wing. He prepared to clip it with nail clippers. Fortunately, Amy stopped him in time. Thomas threw the man out directly. Amy quickly grabbed the gosling and hid in the bathroom. The man kept shouting at the door, but Thomas dragged him away. Then he came to the bathroom door to apologize to his daughter. He didn't expect things to turn out this way. He promised the goslings would never be harmed, but his daughter still wouldn't open the door. That night, the goslings played in the water basin. She just slept in the bathtub. One mischievous one jumped onto the toilet for a fancy dive. Soon the goslings' feathers grew fuller. Every day, Amy would run with them on the grass. Thomas wasn't idle either. He studied the geese's body structure and flight patterns. He built a lightweight aircraft. Soon it was time for the test flight. He piloted it higher and higher. His friends couldn't help but worry for him, but a successful takeoff led to a failed landing. Fortunately, he wasn't badly hurt. The goslings grew day by day. Thomas's plane was improved. Not only could people sit on it, but wheels were added, and the subsequent flights were very successful. That evening, he found his daughter and shared his idea. He wanted to use the plane to lead the geese on migration, following their instinct. Amy wanted to keep them by her side, but then the geese would eventually have their wings clipped. Amy reluctantly agreed. Every day, Thomas disguised himself as the plane to familiarize the geese, but every time failed. Amy had no choice but to wear her dad's clothes and lead the geese, then relay to her dad. This time it actually worked. The geese followed closely behind Thomas. This big man experienced the joy of being a mother. Later, Thomas brought a model plane. He had the geese trained by following it. Then he brought speakers to familiarize them with the engine sound. The training was successful. The goslings had become geese, but when Thomas flew the plane into the sky, not one goose followed. After several attempts and chasing them from behind, all failed. Amy suspected she might be the problem, so she found a place to hide. But soon all the geese went to her side. Sure enough, the geese only followed her. Just as Thomas felt defeated, Amy quietly started the plane. Every single goose followed her closely, but she couldn't control the plane and crashed shortly after. Thomas rushed over to check. Fortunately, she wasn't hurt. Though the flight failed, it proved the method worked. So that night, Thomas decided to build another plane. Then he began teaching Amy to fly. Just after they successfully flew into the sky, the geese looked at Amy, quickly bit open the rope on the cage, and followed. Then they flew together in the air, in a line across the fields. Everything went smoothly. They found a bird sanctuary, but it had been taken over by developers. If no migratory birds appeared by November 1st, the developers would begin construction. This gave them hope. A total distance of 300 kilometers. They planned the route in advance and decided to depart on the 22nd. Before departure, the geese needed training. But during training, one goose hit the plane and fell into the woods. She had to send the other geese home first, then search the woods at night. But animal control took all the geese while they were gone. When they found the injured goose and returned home, they found the cage empty. All the geese were held at animal control, but the plan had to proceed as scheduled. They distracted the staff. Their companion took the chance to release the geese. Amy flew over in the plane. They followed directly. Now no one could stop them, but the migration route wasn't smooth either. They had to fly 120 kilometers before sunset, crossing Lake Ontario. After flying over the city, it was soon evening. They had to find a place to land before dark. Meanwhile, a military base on the lake had detected them and activated full alert. But they just landed openly like that. They were immediately taken into custody. But the geese attracted the soldiers' curiosity, who took photos with them. Just like that, the news of a father and daughter breaking into the base with geese was quickly reported. They also received public attention. During their flight, they enjoyed the beauty of nature. Soon they encountered encountered wild geese flocks. The geese naturally approached them. Amy also spotted poachers by the river, just as their guns aimed at the geese. Amy rushed over to stop them. Then they landed there to rest. A woman who knew their story provided them with lodging. The next day, Amy called the geese. They were departing again. But shortly after, thick fog appeared ahead. They nearly crashed into a building. Fortunately, they flew along the street and escaped danger. Meanwhile, bird lovers and developers confronted each other intensely at the sanctuary. They were now only 120 kilometers from their destination. But Thomas's plane suddenly malfunctioned and crashed in a field. Amy quickly landed to check. Fortunately, Thomas only dislocated his shoulder. The rest of the journey was all up to her. Then Amy flew over the town. The townspeople all pointed the way for her. Amy and the geese continued forward, escaping danger all the way. Just when everyone was waiting anxiously, Amy flew in with the geese. People spontaneously cleared a runway for her. The developer's opportunity was completely ruined. The geese landed on the lake one after another. This would be their new home.